I think today I just want to go through within myself to see how I was before our awakening in 2019 of June to now, of where I had talked about that ayahuasca. Just it's like a spiritual journey. Um, as you cleanse your body and you go into what they say is another world, to be one with God, to realize there's another path. And, you know, it's just, I try to just go with the flow now. Now, it's just a lot different. Everything is not planned. I don't worry about time. I do what I can. If I can't do it, then I can do it the next day. And if it doesn't happen the next day, then it happens the next day. So it's, going with the flow of nature, I guess I would say, for me, and as to now, I just really don't have anything planned to talk about, but, just thinking about so far our journey and how it felt like when I came out of what I had gone through, first two to 3 days was major for me, and during that following week, that week after, I just remember both of us had, actually when we came together, probably I don't know, it was a while, it was a few weeks later, I think. It just really damaged, it shook our family, our whole family, our kids, our parents, my mom, and my wife's mom and her family, my brothers and her brothers and sisters. But yeah, it just shook everything. And it gave me a whole different outlook on life, our experience. It just, we had seen so much destruction, but we were separate. We weren't, we had this dual psychosis, and just saw a lot of it. And I said that I just remember sticking in my mind as something that she wrote down, what I had said. And I had said that, people weren't ready for this. It's a lot of steps. Like a ladder, like to climb. I didn't know what that meant. Like I said, I was never spiritual. Not that I know of. Maybe deep in my heart, I would say, probably. I always wanted good, and created a lot of destruction and chaos through my lifetime. I feel like I was that bird in the cage that had the door open and never flew out. It was like in a prison within myself. And excuse me, that weekend I finally flew out, and broke those chains. I released myself from prison. I surrendered. By surrendering all my emotional pain that I had, it was so much. It was just damaging everything in my body. And I became physical. I had a lot of physical pain through doctors, and I've had some surgeries and stuff, but a lot of physical pain. and I became addicted to pharmaceutical meds, over the not over the counter, pharmaceutical meds. And I know I've mentioned before, it was, it was legal, that they can give me Vicodin, muscle relaxers, fentanyl patches, and just keep adding and adding, to numbness, which was great for me at the time. Didn't have to worry about any type of pain, physically, emotionally. I was shut everything out. And that surrendering just released all that pain, everything, the shock of my body. And it made me think about just what had happened. So I had been on this journey to understand, and it just led me to a lot of books of going within yourself, learning that you can heal yourself holistically. You can heal yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, a holistic way, like nature. To learn of harmony within your body, to create peace. Something I've said before that I never really, I had moments, but going back and seeing myself as a kid, to now, they were very minor. There wasn't a lot that I felt within my body, of being joyful and happy. I know I did. I know I was, but for some reason, all the bad ones were sticking to me, where they were clouding my happy moments, joyful moments. So, yeah, in a way, I felt like that bird in the cage. And as I flew up to the sky, it released. I saw all my pain. I saw all that pain. And I was able to look at it as it looked back at me. And we knew that we had seen each other. And these self-help books, a lot of these going within yourself, I read a lot of different ones, and I know I'm going to forget about some of them, but the ones that are sticking right now was like the Bhagavad Gita. God talks to Arjuna, and how it says that your body is the battlefield, and you're in conflict, at war, and to learn how to harmonize together within your body. And it talks about having a solid foundation. And it's something that I never had, so maybe that's why it speaks to me. I hear it. I hear the message. I get it loud and clear. And the Tao, I read this book, A Healing Light of the Tao, and it has a lot of breathing techniques, meditations, where I was able to learn and just, learn things from that, and do my own things as well, incorporate my own things, because, my body is different. Our bodies are different than everybody else's. We receive messages a different way. And it's just being in tune with it and knowing to listen, to hear, something that I never did through all my life. And they talk about the breathing techniques, and I got to learn how to breathe and meditate, and the muscles that get sore, and the bones that hurt. It's like I'm able to breathe that out. It's like moving the energy around, the original energy of what they talk about, the ki energy, the chi energy. They talk about the conception channel being the yin, which is in the front, and they talk about the governing channel, which is in the back, and that's the yang. It's balance. It's balance of the energies. Same thing with the Hinduisms. They talk about balance. The Ida being the left side, the Pingala being the right, and the Sushumna being the center. It's balance. It's learning of balance, which is peace and stillness and calmness. In our human body, they talk about the left hemisphere, excuse me, the right hemisphere, and the spine. Amongst many other things, but to me, that's a major part, because it has to do with your nervous system, the branches, the roots. The center being your trunk. It's like a tree, like the roots. And when those things are blocked over time due to life, as being human, you have to learn how to take time for yourself to clean it out, to cleanse it, to not be so robotic on what we do in life. And it's just, I think that's what got me bored. It was just repetitious. I was doing the same thing, being in a rush. I never did different things. I never created different habits. The habits are what hurt me. I got stuck in a rut, and stayed there for a long time. I was in and out, but I always went back to a bad habit. But the majority of the books that I've been reading, that I've been drawn to and have been speaking to me, are of peace. There's, through ancient times, through now times, it's trying to create peace. I feel like those ancient rishis and mystics, all these prophets are trying to teach us a peace within ourselves. Even in lyrics nowadays, things that I hear, it's trying to teach a peace. Like I've said it before, it's like Bob Marley, he sticks with me. One love is creating that unity of peace between all people, between all things. Like I said, I didn't have anything planned on talking. It's just trying to just express some of my feelings on where how I'm heading towards ayahuasca. They have a research center, John Hopkins, that has a psychedelic and consciousness research, and they tend to alcoholics, to anxiety, depression, to emotional pain, mental pain, all and physical pain, and it's like they want to they doing this ayahuasca and monitoring it, which I think is big because it's like a holistic way. It's of nature, and that's where I get where of course drugs is a touchy subject with a lot of people too, but it's like, yeah, we've abused drugs as a whole, but there's natural ones that came from Mother Nature through thousands of years before we were even here. So it's like, why wouldn't those be legal? It's to have a spiritual journey. It's not to abuse it. It's actually what I've read. It's a cure. It's a cure to help a lot of diseases in our 21st century. We need to go back and think about what they did before we had all these pharmaceutical companies where we think it's just a quick fix. It's really within us. And so I know I talked about, about Richard Jewell, and it was like, I feel like the last time I talked, I wanted to explain a little bit more about what I meant about how the government, I feel like sometimes it's like they think they're above the law, and there's universal laws as well, and I just think about that poor guy, after seeing that series, how he had died at age 44 and his name wasn't even cleared when in fact they caught the real one and the real one confessed. To go to your grave knowing that you didn't do something and to not have peace, all because the ego of not being able to clear his name. The ego is very potent. It's like you have to learn how to work together with your mind, body, and soul within yourself. And the ego, it's like it comes in at an early age, and it's like it attaches to. It's like a parasite that attaches to a living organism, which is us, and it teaches you me. It's all about me, and that's what I feel like my ego had taken over, and I was in survival mode with myself for a long time, and that shift, which came from the heart, came from my soul. And I know I'm talking about different things. Like I said, I didn't have a plan, but it kind of reminds me of how I felt all clogged, and how in Hinduism they talk about the chakras, and as to now where they say the endocrine glands in your body right down the center, and I felt like those were all clogged, my spine. And I just think about something. Numbers of, like I said, I like numbers. They stick with me. There's certain numbers that stick with me that make me remember things. And 33 was a big number for me. I had my oldest son at 33. I saw my wife again. We got together 33 years later. We met in 82, got together in 2015, and she turned my life around. We had 6 kids. I had 2. She had 4. She raised one beautiful kids. And she taught me to see differently, unconditionally. Just her heart. And I think that's what started it, everything for me. Yeah, that's what started it. But she taught me what love was. After all this, it just felt like I had this black heart, and it had been cleansed with my experience. And how just what I've learned, I knew nothing of life. And it's like I had to think of death, like I was there. And when you die, when you feel like you've died, life becomes so much more precious. Yeah, it does. So a lot of my decisions nowadays are based on life and death. It's like my word means everything. Yeah, truth, love, peace. I feel like our bodies are a little bit of everything, like this transformer, the center being our transformer, and the nervous system, all the branches, all the roots, or the branches being our telephone wires, and sending signals up to, excuse me, up to receive and give out information. And then we have all our organs, it's like that make us live here on earth. We need those organs. And when we create war within ourselves, everything's in disharmony. Everything is not flowing properly, filtering. That's where I think of my building sense comes in, picturing in my mind of a house, of toilets, filtering systems, of cooling systems, heating systems. It's like learning how to build a house properly. And along the way, when forces of nature come, you're able to fix them properly rather than putting a Band-Aid over them. You need to get down to the bottom of it. It's like I learned how to rebuild my house within myself on a solid foundation. And I talk about, I've learned about how they talk about nodal points of the earth energies, of the ley lines, of a positive and negative. And it's like, I think of a battery, a positive, a negative, and a ground, the copper ground. And it's almost like we are batteries, positive and negative. We have a masculine and feminine side, the mother and the father. And the neutral being of the earth, it's positive and negative. And I think about my experience of how it felt very nurturing, very feminine, from a mother's standpoint of caressing me and bringing me back. That love that I felt a motherly love. And it just reminds me of how they talk about that Kundalini, Shakti, the energy, the feminine energy coming up and meeting with the masculine Shiva, and uniting together as one. It reminds me a lot of that. And just how I just felt the earth energies. I felt the planets as well, and the sun, the moon. It was all an experience, something that I could never think I could comprehend. But there's a big universe out there, and I feel like there's way more than what I ever thought now was out there. That everything is breathing and alive as us. It's like we're like a reflection, a mirror. It's a mirror image. But yeah, it's just interesting how the Chinese, how they talk about, the acupuncture. Those are the nodal points and the junctions, and as the ley lines are the same thing, the earth energies. So it's like saying we can heal ourselves naturally from Mother Earth, from nature, naturally, holistically. And I feel that the ayahuasca, Mother Ayahuasca, it's of nature. It's what we're supposed to experience. That higher self of us. Learning of peace. For all things. It's learning how the ego and the soul, the mind and the soul can work together to create harmony. I just feel over time, as a man, that men have done a lot of damage, creating wars, creating destruction. And it needs to be fixed. We have to learn how to go within our bodies, to learn a balance of both energies. Peace is something I never had. It's just such a good calming feeling, to not have the forces within myself creating chaos, creating destruction. That's what I felt when I flew out of that cage. The veil was removed, the curtain. I got to see beyond. To see love, truth, compassion within myself. Yeah. Which gave me love, truth, and compassion for everything else. Not ashamed. I'm glad that I had to go through this, but it did hurt our families. We went through a lot. My young son suffered a lot, I know that. He was here, he happened to be here. He still has fear from that night that we had to go to jail. That's another story. There was no harm done, but the system, I felt I think I'll talk about that maybe next time, a little bit. that's like a whole nother story. But I don't know if I'm ready to talk about that yet. It's not nothing big. Um, I know I had to go through humility. I had to learn how to detach. Um, I learned a lot of things. A lot of things through our experience. Yeah, learned a lot of things. But thanks for listening. And I just wish peace upon everyone. And I feel like I'm just heading towards that path of trying ayahuasca again to see if it was like our experience. But like I said, it was only naturally that it happened to us. And I've read about like the serotonin, the melatonin, the DMT within our natural bodies, of these chemicals. So I'm interested in seeing if it's somewhat of the same experience going to the other side, seeing if it can heal. That's the big thing, is to be able to heal someone of their suffering. Thank you.